For more on this, let's bring in international relations expert and Otago University professor Robert Patman. Kia ora, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, this entire process took 14 weeks. What would have been going on behind closed doors?
Well, I think we can assume a fair amount of diplomatic activity, but the term usually refers to this type of activity as quiet diplomacy, and that is not to complicate the situation by giving any publicity that could be embarrassing for the government with which New Zealand was dealing with, which was the Iranian government. And of course, there's been quite a lot happening in Iran recently. Since the middle of September, there's been widespread social unrest in the country.
And Robert, there was a suggestion Jacinda Ardern toned down her language on the Iranian protests while this was going on. How rare is that? And actually, was that the appropriate move?
Australia was dealing with a similar case in 2019, and the Australian authorities did use quiet diplomacy. We also understand that the two Kiwis who were detained, Christopher Richwhite and Bridget Thackeray, that both their families requested that the quiet diplomacy approach be used. That is to say, not to comment on some of the events occurring, these, protests led by women in Iran, which has broken out since mid-September, and now are a serious problem for the regime. So it would seem that the government deliberately pursued a policy of quiet diplomacy during this period to avoid aggravating the situation in regard to the two Kiwis who are detained, who are now fortunately free.
And clearly the government doesn't want to be doing this regularly. Is there a wider message that needs to be sent about safe travel and the diplomatic consequences that can happen as a result?
Well, I think Nanaia Mahuta, the foreign minister, has given a updated travel advisory today and urging Kiwis not to travel to Iran unless it's absolutely essential. And those Kiwis in Iran, if they can leave, it's probably advisable, or words to that effect. So I think, yes, the government's trying to head off situations which could lead to a repetition of what we've seen.
It's Robert Patman, Otago Uni professor. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.